Hello, students. Welcome to my first weekly summary video. I'm going to go through kind of some things I saw this week that I want to either correct or say, particularly good job. Um, I hope you're feeling pretty good. You know, 1 week down, that first week kind of is always a shock, especially if you've been out for a while, out of the learning mode. So give yourself some credit for being brave enough to sign up for a master's program and know that you can rely on me, you can rely on your classmates to help you get through this. But, you know, be prepared to do some work, but I think that you will grasp the concepts. I recommend you really learn that APA formatting so that it's not a concern for you because it's gonna chase after you your entire graduate program. So just learn the rules, take time. In the Learning Resource Center, there's a very good tutorial on how to write a paper, how to cite, how to reference. So take some time and really put some effort into learning APA formatting, and then you're done. So things I want to talk about this week, just have them written down here. So the first one, in your discussion post responses, I would encourage you to address each other. So when you start your response, some of you do, you say, hey, Wendy, great post or whatever, but some of you just immediately start typing, and it's kind of a rule or unspoken rule for netiquette to, talk or mention the name of who you're talking to. If we were in a class, we would, classroom, we would be looking at each other, and so there wouldn't be necessarily any reason for you to say, oh, Jennifer, I agree with your point. But because we're online, it's a little, there's just some formalities that we need to kind of add back in. And one of those is addressing the person to whom you're responding. I don't take off points or anything like that. It's just a netiquette thing. Read my response. Okay. So when I respond to each of you in the discussion forum, not only do I try to comment on your post itself, some points you made, but I give you corrections with APA formatting. So I encourage you to read my responses to your peers just to see kind of what I'm correcting, because I kind of correct the same things over and over because y'all are making pretty much the same mistakes, understandably. So if you'll read my response to everybody or my responses to everybody, that may help you, learn, a little bit more quickly about some of the rules of APA. So, not only that, but you'll get an idea of my thinking about their post as well. So about APA, as I was going through your papers this week, I think that there are most of you maybe who did not realize that APA formatting rules are so specific, but they are. There's pretty much a rule for everything. So sometimes it's hard just to go to Purdue OWL and just kind of read, APA rules. Maybe take a look at some sample papers. Certainly digest the feedback I gave you in your paper if you submitted one, and just maybe look up those rules that you can kind of continually missing. Citations are a big one because there are some rules about the how you cite. Do you use the author's name? Do you use the name of the article? And then certainly in the references, a website is different from a book and it's different from a journal. So really get those rules down. And there is only one space after a period. You know, when we all used to use typewriters, we put 2 spaces, and I certainly still use 2 spaces unless I'm writing a formal paper, because I'm old and I'm not going to change that. And if I'm not writing an APA style, I'm going to use 2 spaces. But, you know, so for some of you who are younger, you may only put 1 space after a period, but that is an APA formatting rule to have 1 space after a period. So just letting you know that. Okay, the resources you use. So, you know, when you're trying to find information on, you know, purpose of school. I'm not saying that you can't just go Google what is the purpose of school or education. You know, sometimes that gets you started, but just watch your resources. I have seen some just kind of websites, you know, that or a blog even. Those aren't scholarly. They might give you some information that, you know, to think about, but then, you know, you need to go verify it with a scholarly resource or at least an education site. So National Education Association or Association for, you know, teaching or something like that. It's those aren't completely scholarly, but at least they've got researchers on their staff. They get research articles that they publish. So just take a look. You know, if you use Edutopia, that's okay. It's not scholarly, but it's, like I said, it's education focused. But just using, you know, a kind of a website you find, or like I said, a blog. If you're looking to back up, you know, and to use research, that's what you have to be careful. So the best place to find your sources, of course, is in the UO People Library. But sometimes, you know, you're just kind of looking for a quick answer, and I get it. So Google's fine. Google Scholar is okay, is good. The problem with Google Scholar, you're not going to have access to a lot of what you find. But then if you find something you like, you read enough of it, go to the UO People Library and see if you can find that same thing. Lots of ways, you know, around that. So just use your sources wisely, because you want to get backed up information, not just Jennifer Wolf's idea, right? Okay, use headings. Okay, so in APA papers, you need to use headings. And I talked a little bit about this, I think, in my email. In your papers, you can just use your rubric. The criteria, like Dewey's Purpose for Education, use that as your heading. That's fine. But headings are required because they help the reader kind of anticipate and then predict and be engaged with the reading. So you need to have headings in your paper, and like I say, just use the rubric. You don't, if you come up with your own, that's great, but you can just use the rubric and they're already done for you. Now in your discussion post, headings are helpful, right? Because again, it's still for the reader, but you know, your discussion post is not a formal paper. Your portfolio activity, the headings help me, but and they will help you guide yourself about what you're supposed to be, you know, telling me. But the portfolio activity is really a conversation between us. So what you want to think about is, because it's not a live conversation where I can ask you questions if I don't understand, and this is true of your discussion post and your paper, you know, your reader can't stop you and go, wait, back up. So that's why all the formatting, the headings, the citations, the references, they all help the reader because you are not there for them to ask. So as I started to say with the portfolio activity, it is a conversation between the two of us. So really the only requirement for that is in-text citations and references, because once you put that paper out there for anybody else to read, now if you don't cite, it's plagiarism. Okay, okay, so that's all I specifically wanted to address this week. I sent an email, I thought, about the best times for the Teams video chat. I got 2 responses back, and I'm not sure if maybe you just, hey, whatever is fine, or I'm not going to go anyway. But so I'm keeping the Teams meeting at least until I hear differently. Saturday mornings at 9:00 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:00 a.m. UO People Time. And, I schedule about an hour, and I think, that it was helpful last time because I kind of went through the assignments. And so that's what I plan on doing again. But, we can also look at the Evernote portfolio. It's there for you. It's office hours, optional office hours. If you can't come, that's no problem. But I think it's, good for you to attend because you're meeting your peers. You can ask me questions in real time. And like I said, I take you through the course room to go over the assignments to make sure you're tracking. So with that, I've enjoyed, the little bit that we've had with each other so far. And I'm sure that the coming weeks will, lend themselves to us building nice relationships with each other. And hopefully you will do that, with your peers, because, you can really form some good friendships and collaborative teams, if you try to make those connections. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I hope to see you tomorrow. And as always, anything you need, ask away. All right? Take care.